have growth strategy in the context of partnering with government and NGOs as well. So effectively, these all fall within the gamut of the growth strategies which we have already discussed in our earlier class. Coming down to other important aspects, very quickly, let me just try to uh, have more students who have actually joined for the session. Um, we would be looking at some other dimensions as well. And here, basically making the core of the brand as being distinctive as possible. Also towards driving distribution through newer channels or existing channels and offering the core product in newer formats or versions happen to be the way how the core aspect is growth. We also did look into the dimension where we wanted to see the different type of competitive strategies as was suggested by the growth strategies. Uh, we decided to have a feel of what exactly were the market leaders, what were market challengers, market followers, and market niches. Market leaders would be expanding the total market, challengers would be protecting the market share, while followers would be trying to increase the market share. We also did try to see how the expanding total market demand was done in terms of new customers or more usages. This is what we had discussed yesterday, and we decided to look how to protect the market share was by doing some sort of proactive marketing. And by proactive marketing, we actually meant that we were trying to do not a reactive but a response anticipation. We were doing something anticipating the response in advance and also creative anticipation. That is, we are trying to look at what exactly is the creativity in the context of the anticipation that we were trying to get. Now, towards protecting the market share, we exactly looked at the position of the defender, which was being challenged by the attacker. And we tried to see that there were basically four dimensions on the basis of which the market share was being protected. First is we try to actually retain our hold the ground, that is called as retain our existing position. The second dimension happened to be something which exactly is called for. We've got just 18 of you who have actually joined the session. I am yet to ascertain whether that class is over. Salmapa's class is over. Can I get a voice confirmation? Osama?
Hello? Sir, actually, I didn't attend that class. I was out for
Anybody
some
who
work.
attended that class? Um, Somebody who has been attending that class and has come from that class to this session.
So, which class?
Salma Appa's class was there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I have attended.
Okay, so that class is over.
No, sir, it's not over yet.
Oh, not yet over.
Yes, sir.
I was under the assumption that it is going to be over by 1 o'clock.
No, sir, it's not over.
Oh,
यस सर मैम बस आखिरी फेज में है, अभी ओवर होने वाली है.
नहीं, आखिरी फेज में है, but students are there in that class, ना? So anyway,
यस
we
सर स्टूडेंट्स
can
आर
just try to put a pause. That is why I'm trying to have a recap of what we had done yesterday, and I did not start with the session for today. In the meantime, let us just wait for some time because just 22 students who joined. That is why I was a bit uh, worried that probably there is some sort of a situation. Why I think that is why I wanted to ask whether the class is yet over or not, because we did not have the requisite size of students which you generally have for the marketing class. It's about at least 80 to 90 students are there for this session. So what we'll do is we'll just have a small pause and then we shall continue. Okay. But
ओके
this sort of a arrangement happened only today, so you just cannot do anything about it. Sometimes, we have to accommodate and just wait. Uh, just wait for a few more minutes. We exactly have some students were there. Before we proceed, I will be taking you to some of the aspects that we discovered yesterday, and we would be looking at some of the aspects in the context of how the competitive dynamic works in the Indian market. Now, you see, there are approximately 20 major players with around 90 models and brands offering upward 360 variants in the passenger car segment and the sports utility vehicle in India. Now, it is a fiercely competitive area. While this market has recorded an impressive growth, I have to admit a few people. While this has been recording a huge amount of growth in recent time, the competitive landscape in automobile industry in India is very dense. There are formidable brands like, for example, Maruti Suzuki is there. Brands like Honda is there, Hyundai, Nissan, Toyota, Volkswagen, and Volvo. These there are approximately there are different type of players who are there. Maruti Suzuki leads the pack in terms of the range of vehicles. It has 14 sub brands and around 50 models. It is closely followed by Tata Motors with 12 models and 42 variants. And Hyundai has 7 models and 38 variants. The prices of these different sub-segments and models of the major players, they are also widely ranged, and they're covering the granular price points. Now, like for example, if you're looking at Tata Motors Nano, it is priced at 1,52,000, and that is the around Alto or the Maruti 800 level entry variant was at 2 lakh, which is the lowest listed price models. Now, the upper price band, uh, if you're looking at the upper price band, that basically ranges from 12.2 million for one of the models of Audi and up to 13 million for a BMW or Porsche, and even higher for luxury brands like Rolls or Maybach. Now, this diverse of the price range, the diversity of the price range that you can find in the Indian automobile segment has a number of models and also the customers who vary in the economic status, utility drivers, and social aspirations buying these cars. The exponential growth, the market size, complexity, and competitive intensity has benefited customers and consumers through superior product and service qualities and wider range of alternatives to choose from. Companies, on the other hand, they face challenges in differentiating their brand in an increasingly dense competitive marketplace in India. Automobile brands now need to constantly update their models, introduce new features and versions, and ensure superior customer experience to ensure their survival and growth. So you see, there is a lot of dynamism that actually exists in the Indian marketplace. And definitely, if you looked into the presentation that we looked at yesterday, you will understand that there have been different type of leader strategies, competitive strategies for leaders. Like there have been market leaders, market challengers, market followers, and market niches. Now, I'll be talking about another company. Now, this company is called as Xerox. Now, it'll be very interesting to observe what exactly Xerox has been doing. Xerox has become more than just a copier company. Now, the blue chip icon with the name that has become the verb sports and broadest array for imaging products in the world dominates the market for the high-end printing systems. And it's making a huge amount of product line transition as it moves from the old light lens technology to digital systems. Xerox is preparing the world for which most paper pages are printed in color, which not incidentally generates 5 times the revenue of black and white. Besides revamping the machines, Xerox is beefing up the sales by providing annuity-like products and services that are ordered again and again. The document management, ink, and toners. It has even introduced the managed print service business, and to help companies actually eliminate desktop printers and let employees share multifunctional devices that copy, print, and fax. So you need to only purchase one unit for your entire home or your small office, and everybody can use this device for doing something called as printing at the same location from multiple feeds, so that basically this device is actually networked and you can have many people using the same machine. Now this sort of a technology is actually giving them a single machine which exactly is capable of handling volume printing options. Now this is a new type of a strategy that has been coming up with Xerox, that is called it as the employee sharing multifunctional devices. Now, these multifunctional devices do something more than handling the huge amount of print volume. They also do multi activities, like for example, multi functions. Like for example, they would scan, they would print, they would also copy. So you have got all in one. So they have branded it as AIO. So effectively, this basically one another thing they have done is they have increased the speed of the the processing of the prints. So once it was very slow to respond to the emergence of Canon and other small copier market, now Xerox is doing very well and it is here to stay in the game. So effectively, you see, today it is actually behaving like a market leader, and it is coming up with new products, new services, and also with new features. So this exactly is how the market leader actually behaves in the present context. So very quickly, let us try to see that there is also a context of expanding the total marketing demand by adding new customers, or the same customers, you're giving them more number of usages. Yesterday, we tried to see how a product can be, the frequency of the usage of the product can be increased, and we did try to look into something ethical or unethical domain as such. But protecting market share is actually a proactive marketing response, where basically an anticipatory response is taken into account in your proactivity and creating an anticipation. Now, coming down to the defensive marketing, we basically have the defender sitting in position here, and it is trying to take on the attacker. Now, you must understand, this is talking about in the second, that is the market challenger. The market challenger uses this sort of a strategy to protect the market share. That is, first is it maintains its position. Second is it goes for a flank attack. Third is it goes for a preemptive. Before the attacker does something, it goes for an attack that is called a preemptive, or responses to the attacker's attack, it goes for a counter offensive. That is, when the attacker has done, so it retaliates with a counter defensive. Then the fifth thing it does is called the mobile attack, that is attack from behind. And the sixth thing is it contracts its position. It takes away its certain products in the market where the attacker has a lot of ground that it has gained. So rather than trying to fight the attacker, it tries to pull back. So effectively, these are the 5 type of defensive marketing strategies which are used by the defender. Now, coming down to another important aspect towards increasing the market share, we exactly have looked into this aspects as well. That is, the cost of buying higher market share through acquisition that far exceeds its revenue value. We looked into a possibility of provoking antitrust action, pursuing wrong marketing activities, economic cost, and increasing market share, affecting on the quality of the products per se. Coming down to the optimal market share, we try to look into this aspect towards profitability. Need not be only with the increase in market share, but you have to actually check it. What is the highest optimal market share, highest profitability at what level of market share has to be looked into account. We also try to look into something which is called as the market challenger strategy. The market challenger, the market leader, underfunded firms of their own sides, small, local, and regional firms, and the status quo. Now, here I will be looking at market challenger strategy with another very interesting caselet that I'm going to be taking up at this point of time. And we shall be taking up this caselet over here. This is a very interesting product. This is called as a brand called as Ujala. You must have seen this whitener, blue colored bottle which is there, Ujala by Jyoti Laboratories. This basically can fit in the example of the market challenger that we are currently discussing. And Jyoti Laboratories, they started with a small player. Jyoti Laboratories, they started as a small player in the fabric care market in India. So they can be called as the market follower. They pioneered with a liquid fabric whitener. Earlier, we used to have a whitener which was in the powdered form. This was called as Robin Blue. A Robin bird was there, and this was Neil, as you called it, and they used to add it to clothes when you were washing, and then these clothes would give you a whiter color, so that the dull yellow colored clothes would be basically white colored. So this is basically the product that I'm talking about. So this is the same product, but basically here Jyoti Laboratories came up with something which exactly was a whitener. So this
Excuse me,
was,
sir.
yes.
So your slide is not visible.
Okay. I'm so sorry. Thank you for sharing this small glitch. Maybe maybe there's some situation. Well, let me just stop presenting and let me try to present once again. Uh, okay. Now I want you to just tell me if is it visible or not. Just let me know.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you for that small piece of interruption. That was very important. That the slide was not visible. So coming back to that case study that I'm talking about in terms of Ujala, Jyoti Laboratories, they started with us as a small player in the fabric care market in India, and they pioneered the liquid fabric whitener category. It is flagship brand called Ujala Supreme. Now, Ujala challenged the leading brand
Sir,
Robin Blue. Yes.
again, it's not visible.
Okay, forget about that. Just focus on this case for the time being.
Okay.
Just we'll come back to that when we'll cross the bridge when we'll reach it. So they were basically challenged by the leading brand, which is called as Robin Blue. Now, this which was then available only in the powdered form. Now, the tagline of the brand advertisement is "Have you changed over to Ujala?" So this was the tagline. Have you changed over to Ujala? Now, this nudged the consumers to change from powder to a liquid fabric whitener. This is basically how they decided to project their brand. That is, they wanted people to change over from a powdered form of whitener to a liquid form of whitener. So that is why they said, "Have you changed over to Ujala?" Or when this unique shape of the bottle also was a signature style, making the brand visible in shop shelves. So if you have seen the bottle of Ujala, it is in the shape of a drop. That is, it is the shape of a liquid drop. So effectively, it is very small in the top. It is bulged in the middle, and again, it has a wider base. So this was a way how they tried to position themselves in terms of the mind share of the consumers. Also, the company they decided to have the brand visible in the shop shelves, and the competitive price was introduced. The consumer trials and acceptance. So they came up with a very small price so that the consumers do not have a problem changing over from the powdered form of cloth whitener and keep the price low so that they can actually try it and accept it. As the brand became popular, the company introduced other fabric care products under Ujala's brand name. These included Ujala Stiff and Shine. That is, it had a stiffener. So certain clothes which required some sort of a stiffener, they added that stiffener is some sort of a starch was added to it. A post-wash fabric product was to keep the clothes crisp. Ujala washing powder and Ujala Techno Bright detergents. These were some more variants that they decided to come. Now you must understand that this basically is a segment which exactly is not the leader, but was the follower segment. The company has come a long way since the launch of Ujala to become a multi product and multi brand company. Jyoti Laboratories has now acquired Henkel India Limited and has brands such as Fa, Margot, Prill, Mr. White, and Check in its portfolio. You must be remembering there's a very famous punchline which exactly goes with this brand called Ujala, that is Char Boondon Wala. Ujala Char. That means they want you to just add 4 drops of this liquid, and you see it is calling itself Char Boondon Wala. That is, it's in the form of drops. So they want to put it in the minds of the consumer that a fabric whitener should not be in a powdered form, rather it should have been a liquid form. So this basically was the orientation of trying to position their products in the context of a strategy in the aspect of the emerging portfolio of products available in the Indian market. Now, you have to look into these dimensions when you are trying to see whether the organization is in the product leadership position or it is in the product defender position. So we have to actually look into that perspective. I will be trying to come back to the presentation that we were currently on. I will just try to see what exactly went wrong at this point of time. Just let me try to see so that we can actually rectify it. Probably sometimes some sort of glitches do happen, but we don't have to worry too much about it. So we can always fix it anytime, but we have to be cool about how to address this issue. So just I would request voice confirmation in case you are able to see the presentation. Just let me know.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay, excellent. So we basically were looking at something called as the market challenger, and these are some of the strategies that can be done by the market challenger. Look at the green market challenger. So market challenger can go for a frontal attack. That is what it did. Ujala did to the this the Robin Blue. So it went to the frontal attack to address the strategic objective, that because the strategic objective of the market leader was that it was in a powdered form, and market leader challenger, they came up with something which is called as a liquid form of fabric whitener. Then you can have other strategies also. The second could be attacking from the side, that is called the flank attack. The third could be an encircling attack, that is you come back from the backside and you attack. This is called an encirclement attack. The fourth attack can be a bypass, that is you bypass the main objective and you attack some other aspect of the market leader. And the fifth could be a guerrilla attack, that is you can attack from anywhere. Now these would be the strategies for the market challenger. And there are different type of market follower strategies which are called as market cloner, market imitator, or market adapter. So we yesterday saw something called as the market nicher strategy, that is attacking a niche segment or a very specified segment of the market. This is called the small market or firms low market share, and it is called the market niche. Because this is being a market leader in a very small segment of the market. We also are looking at certain niche specialist roles, that is end user specialized role, or a channel specialist, or a job shop specialist, or a geographical specialist, or a customized customer specialist, or a vertical level specialist. Now, we also discussed yesterday about the product life cycle, and here basically we try to see how exactly this product moves from the production, growth, sales, and then finally to decline. I will be taking up another very interesting case study over here at this point of time. And let me draw your attention to a very interesting brand which is called as the Wagh Bakri Chai. This product is available in Aligarh. So effectively, many of you must have had a chance of being associated with this sort of a product or a brand in terms of the tea world. And something very interesting about this product, we'll have a quick aspect. Now, eventually, it's also one of the strategies, which is actually the guerrilla strategy, which is the attack strategy, which has been done by this product, and it has been very, very successful. So I would be addressing this right now. Now, Wagh Bakri was a company that started its journey in 1892 with a small shop in Ahmedabad selling tea from loose form. Now, this is one of the largest producers and marketers of tea in India today. Now, that is a very, very surprising figure to comprehend, that this is one of the largest procurers, not producers, procurers. That is, the tea is manufactured in the tea estates of Darjeeling in the northeast India and the northern part of the country. So they basically actually are growing tea, and we've got some tea producing states in the southern part of the country as well. So tea is procured from them. Once the tea is processed, that is, it follows the CTC, that is curled, turned, and cured mechanism, which exactly is done by the tea processing plants which are there on the tea estates itself. Then tea is actually bought. So tea is procured and branded and marketed. So this brand dominates the packaged tea market in Gujarat and is a significant player in Western India. One of the important reasons for the popularity of the brand is the quality of the blend. So the brand provides a kadak, meaty, strong and sweet flavor. A kadak, meaty flavor. So this is strong and sweet flavor, and its loyal customers prefer Wagh Bakri chai due to its deep market penetration. Now you must understand that this has started in Ahmedabad. The brand enjoys prominent retail presence not only in the traditional provision shops but also in the modern trade and supermarkets. This is a tightly managed distribution channel and prefixed days and times for order taking and product delivery in retail points. They ensure efficiency and shelf presence of the brand. The company's product and brand portfolio consists of an array of product forms and brands. Under the brand Wagh Bakri, there is a different product forms such as leaf and dusk tea. Now, basically, when you're going to buy tea, you're going to buy tea in different forms. You're going to find fine dust, you've got coarse dust, you've got leaf, you've got the CTC brand. All these things are the variety of tea. Also, you have got variety of tea bags. Then you have got different flavored tea bags. Like, for example, you've got ginger, you've got elaichi, that is cardamom brand, you've got masala flavors. These are other brands of company. Like, for example, there is a company which is called Good Morning, which has a different varieties of tea. Like, for example, you have got Assam tea, Darjeeling tea, and English breakfast tea. Now, pure Darjeeling tea is marketed in a wooden box under Darjeeling brand. The company also has another brand called Milli. Now, this is aimed at encouraging consumers to buy loose tea to convert to packaged tea buyers. So, effectively, there is a segment which is focusing consumers to buy loose tea and not packaged tea. A portfolio includes a variety of organic teas. The comprehensive portfolio brand and product form varieties and flavors provide a significant competitive advantage with a strong base in the home territory. Now, Wagh Bakri is expanding to the presence of other states in India. The tagline and the advertisement, the name and the logo, like Bagh or Wagh, it started with WHGH, but technically it means the tiger. Okay, and Bakri would be goat. Okay, now the reason we're having Wagh Bakri chai is actually called as the tiger and the goat drinking from the same cup. So technically what they mean is that you've got a wide range of consumers basically converging to the same type of a taste for the tea. That is the idea behind this sort of a orientation in tea. So the punchline says the taste that brings people together worldwide. Now this is basically Hamare Hamesha Rishta Banaye. This is the basic punchline that they use for this sort of a product. So effectively, you see, they are using different type of strategies to attack the brands which are there by ITC or HLL these brands, like for example, you've got Lipton, or you got a brand like for example Taj Mahal or Red Label, or there are a series of brands which exactly are there. So basically, this is a different type of an orientation which is using a guerrilla attack to capture these different type of established brand which are there in the market. So you see, we were talking about something called as the product life cycle per se as well. And you can see that the product life cycle, if you are going to look at, I've told you that there's introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. Then common product life cycle patterns is what we've seen. Then we've seen how style, fashion, and fad life cycles actually add. We also saw some of the marketing strategies, that is the introduction stage. You got pioneering advantage or pioneering drawbacks. We also saw the long range product market expansion. Now I'll be explaining this graph very detailed. So you see there are three products, P1, P2, P3, and there is one company which exactly is trying to use these different type of strategies. Now starting, what happens is there's a company which, now there are three markets, M1, M2, and M3, the three types of markets which are there. So the company starts with a product called P1 and it enters into the market M1. So first it comes with a product, with a new product, and it enters into the market M1, and you can see by the position of the blue colored circle which says 1 against the P1 M1 market. Now what happens is when the product has attained a certain amount of maturity, that is when it has introduced this product and when it has attained a certain amount of maturity, and then what happens is and it is in the form of maturity or going to decline, the company takes this product into a second market, that is product market M2. So effectively what happens is the competition which exactly is trying to look at this market, the competition does not know that this product will be entering into this market. But the innovator, what he does is when it finds that this product is in the growth stage or the maturity stage, it tries to move this product from first and introduces this product in the second market. Now this market, since it is already saturated, this product is doing very well in the second market. Effectively what happens is when competition catches up with the act of the innovator, the P1, this introduces, it comes up with a new product. The company comes with a new product, and that is, it launches product 2 in the second market. So rather than one product in this market, it comes with a second product in the market. And that is the third strategy that it does, that it addresses a new variant of this product for the second market M2. Now you see there are two products in this market, and then when competition decides to come up with this sort of a reaction, then what happens is they jump with this product back to the first market. So it takes that product which was launched for market 2, it has taken it back to market number 1. So effectively now there are two products, P1 and P2, in the two markets, that is M1 and M2. So now you see the competition is not aware what exactly is going to happen, and then suddenly when the competition understands that this is the strategy, that the company has come up with two products in two markets. By that time, the competition also tries to come up with two products in two markets. Then what happens is this company immediately comes up with a new variant which is called as P3. Probably, though now it launches a new product with a P3 for market M1. And then probably after some time it is going to again fool the competition and go to market 2 with the new product P3. So technically, this is how certain companies, they try to enter with new products variants in newer market and try to just dodge the competition from following their market share. But they try to do all these things in terms of the type of the PLC. What exactly is the PLC stages? At different stages of PLC, they will try to be doing this type of strategic movements, and this is how they have a long-term product market expansion strategy for the different organizations. Now we would be looking at something called as marketing strategies growth stages. There are basically to sustain the rapid share. They improve the product quality and add new features. They would be adding new models and flanking products, entering new market segments, introducing the distribution coverage with newer distribution channel. Let's say, for example, if they're doing offline marketing, they would immediately go down to online channels of marketing, or they would have a mix of online and offline marketing. That is electronic marketing they would try to use, or social media marketing, or Facebook marketing. This is a new ways of trying to include the distribution coverage. Also, they might try to bring about a shift from awareness to the trial communication to preference and loyal communicators. Also, lower prices to attract the next layer of price sensitive buyers. That is, newer segment of markets or newer markets can be targeted. Now, here we are going to be looking at what exactly happens. And earlier we were looking at the growth stage. Now we are looking at the maturity stage. Now, at the maturity stage, we can do three things. It's market modification. We can go for a product modification. We can modify the product, and we can go for a marketing program modification. Also can be done in the context to give new life to the product per se. Now we would be trying to see how market modification is done. So there are basically different ways how you can actually go for market modification. And these are alternative ways to increase the sales volumes. So first thing, that is, you can convert the non-users, and you can convert the non-users to users. That is, people, for example, who are not using the product, try to make them use the product. Okay, so let's say, for example, if people are sending products by the snail mail, why not use air cargo or air couriers to take the product? Or you can also enter into new market segment. Like, for example, Goodyear's, when they decided to start selling their tires in Walmart, Sears, and discount tires, it immediately boosted their market share. So you see, a tire making company like Goodyear, they decided to use a new type of a marketing intermediary to sell their products. And they came up with these products, which are your fast moving consumer goods. They decided to sell automobile products here, and then they got a new type of a growth. So then again, attract competitors from customers. So people who are actually using competitive brands, they're trying to basically bring their competitors to try your products. Also, you can increase the user rate, that is, have consumers on more occasions. Like, for example, you must have seen with Cadbury's that Amitabh Bachchan says that Cadbury is not actually positioned only as a chocolates for kids, but it can be used as a gift for the different occasions. Also, festivals like you have got Diwali or any other festival, or Eid, or any sort of Holi. So rather than where you exchange gifts and sweets, you are not sticking to standard, but you're using chocolates for gifting. So effectively, now another interesting aspect is that like using Heinz vinegar to clean windows. So Heinz, they decided to come up with vinegar, and that is used for cleaning windows. Or like some people using Coke to clean their different bathroom utilities. Now, basically, this is some sort of a usage, increasing the usage rate. So beyond the normal drinking or beyond the normal utility, they are trying to use new utilities for new usage for their goods, or having consumers use more products on each occasion. Like, for example, you see when you got a pizza, you go to a pizza joint, you find that you buy 1+1 pizza, or you buy 4 pizza, that is a family size pizza, or an entire meal pizza. So effectively, when you go for buying one pizza, you end up buying 4 pizza, or you're buying 2 pizza. So technically, this is one way to increase the sales volume. Or also have consumers use the product in a different way. Like, for example, Tums antacid is used as a calcium supplement. So an antacid which is being used as a calcium supplement, this is also a new way to increase the volumes. Now, coming up to the decline stage. So if there is a product which is at the later stage of its life, and how do you handle that sort of a product, that is a product in the context of a decline stage? So we have to be looking at the different type of products, that is, you to eliminate the weak products and harvest and divest. That is, you have to remove that from there. So marketing in slow economic growth. This is a very important aspect in the current times, because you see, we exactly in the post-COVID scenario, most of the market dynamics or the market indicators are saying that the inflation yesterday, the news said that the food inflation has risen like anything, and there's a drop in the GDP, and there's a reaction to something which is called as propensity to consume. People are saving their money for the troubled times, or any sort of a serious investment is done for people who exactly are saving for their essential commodities, rather our health commodities or health products, rather than investing for luxury or non-essentials. So well, the first important thing to do is explore the upside of increasing investment. So what should we invest in which increases our investment is the first important thing. Then the second thing is get closer to customers. We have to reach out to customers and find out basically what exactly is their real set of requirement. Then we also try to do something called as the review the budget allocation and put forth compelling value proposition. So we have to see that the value proposition has to be offered in terms of the environmental constraints, and fine tune brands and product offerings. So we have to, let's say, go for something called as fine tuning the brand and product offering. So let's say, for example, we've got to give economy products or products which exactly are real utility products along with the offering that exactly is there, which exactly was never thought about. So the right amount of product mix has to be a very important aspect when it comes to slow growth economy per se. So I think these are some of the dimensions that you need to be looking at. Now I'm going to be looking at another important segment, which is a case study that I wanted to be talking about, and this is in the context of things in the growth stage. That is, if the organization is actually going the growth stage, how do we try to enter new markets? How do we increase the distribution coverage? How do we shift from awareness and trial to preferred and communication, loyalty communication, and low prices to attract the next layer of price sensitive buyers? So very quickly, I'm going to take one case study again here to talk about the Indian scenario for this specific segment. Now, this is a very interesting product that I'm going to be talking about, where most of there has been a shift in the type of people using these type of products, and this is a fairness cream for men. The generally what happened was that the female gender was always considered that fairness was their territory, and cosmetics and their investment into looking good. That was a very the psyche or the mindset that was there. But suddenly they gave up a new segment arose, and that was competition for men's fairness. So men also was a category which was not tapped. So these products, the beauty products, were basically targeting female. They decided to look at a gender which was not being tapped, and that happened to be the men. So here is the case study on this. So here is how they have entered into this segment and looked at the growth dimension of this segment. So there's a lot of volume over here. So now they're not just one player, there are many players targeting this segment. So it's a very interesting case. Please look at this case later. Now, the men's personal grooming market in India, especially the men's fairness cream category, is on the upswing. So according to an estimate, the total fairness cream market is valued around 22 billion rupees, of which the men's skin fairness cream market accounts for about 1.86 billion. Now, there are several brands that have entered this segment, making the market highly competitive. Like, for example, you have got a brand called Emami. Now, Emami is fair and handsome. The first entrant in the market aims at converting users of women's fairness cream through advertisements that say, hey, do you apply lipstick? Then why use women's fairness cream? Now, this is a very interesting way of trying to approach a newer segment of the market. So effectively, if there is a women's fairness cream, they want to segregate with a new product called as the men's fairness cream. That exactly is very different. So they say that a man can't use a female's cream which is there, a fairness cream which is designed for females. And this is how they try to do it, that they might say that since you are a man, do you apply lipsticks? If no, then why use a women's fairness cream? So Hindustan Unilever Limited quickly followed suit when this was targeted by Imami like this, and launched something which is called a Fair and Lovely Men's Active. Now, leveraging the strength of the mother brand. Okay, in order to strengthen its further, Hindustan Unilever Limited, they launched another product in the category called Vaseline Men Anti-Spot Whitening Face Cream. Now, this is something very interesting. They came up with Vaseline Men Anti-Spot Whitening Face Cream. So they decided to look at the area where exactly whitening is really a concern for this segment, and that is called as acne or anti spot or whitening which is required. So Nivea, they immediately came up and they reacted to competition and launched two products. As far as Nivea for men's range, namely Nivea whitening moisturizer and multi-white whitening facial foam. So this immediately Nivea came into the play, and when they saw that Hindustan Unilever Limited is coming up with this sort of a product category, that is whitening Vaseline for men, they came up with two, like a whitening moisturizer and multi-whitening facial foam. This is what Nivea came up, because this was already an established brand in the women market. So soon Garnier, now there's another brand called Garnier. They launched men's Power Light range with a brand claiming using natural ingredients in two variants, namely Fairness Moisturizer and Face Wash and Oil Fairness Control Moisturizer. Now, the Clarins positioned its product that is called as Fatigue Fighter as a skin refresher and rejuvenates skin and eliminates signs of stress and fatigue. Now, when all this drama was on and there's a lot of market battle which was going for the different brand, then suddenly Godrej came. The Godrej brand, they came up with Godrej Fair Glow Cream. This is yet another brand in the category. It is available at a low unit price range. That is then Cabin Care's Fairever brand claims that it acts as a sunscreen as well as anti-mark cream, supported by a single dose and a low unit price pack. Now, Elder Pharma, they came up with Fair One Man claims to be a fully herbal product with no side effects, and it is priced competitively at a lower rate. Now, once they looked into the whitening segment, then they started hitting at the price domain. That is, who can offer a product at a which offers multiple benefits at a lower price. Now, you see how much amount of competition is there in this sort of a segment, which was never taken into account and was never looked into a product for this segment, which was only reserved for the fairer gender. Now, basically, Zydus Cadila, they came up with a product which is called an Ever Youth brand. Now, this offered something very unique. It offered scrub, face wash, sunblock, and moisturizer. So now you see they have added multiple features into a single product offering to fight the competition from the other brand. And their brand, though micro websites, and they try to sell them through the different type of micro websites and the social networking. Like, for example, you've got Facebook marketing, or you've got social media marketing, or you've got Twitter marketing, or you've got Instagram, or trying to put it in your different the email pages in your Yahoo or the Google. They carry these banners or streamers of that sort. So they are offering entertainment, information, and advice. Also, a number of brand increases. One offers to be specific, have a value proposition, and the market has become too crowded, and the options for alternative positioning strategies to become limited. And then they decided to bring in something called brand ambassadors, also bringing in, so that they decided to see that the brand is accepted in the male gender. So effectively, they brought in something called Shah Rukh Khan, and Shah Rukh Khan coming up with a brand which exactly says world's first fairness cream for men, use fair and handsome like me. So Shah Rukh Khan is saying that he is trying to be the brand ambassador for Fair and Handsome and says, use fair and handsome like me. Now this basically is how they have targeted this specific segment. So effectively, What I'm trying to basically put forth is that marketing is a real warfare, but you have to understand that how exactly the dynamics works, what exactly are the strategies, and what exactly is the PLC, that is product life cycle, and how do you enter with different products in different strategies. Are you in the growth, are you in the introduction, are you in the maturity, or in the decline phase? And you've got different strategies to take up with the different type of competition. You can go for a frontal attack, you can have a sustaining the position, you can go for a flank attack, you can go. I get it, Zishan. The time for the class. Thank you. It's 57. Some of you joined late. I'm just finishing. So with this, we can come to an end. In fact, it's a very interesting and an important aspect towards competitive. In the next class, I would be talking about the assignment. Now, assignment is a very important component of evaluation, and I would like all of you to be attending the next class, because I'll be talking about the assignment, and this assignment is going to get you about 70% of your scores. So you have to look out for what I'm actually looking for in terms of assignment, and 30% of marks I think is going to be for sessionals, for the end term examination, and 70 marks for the uh, assignment. So what exactly will the assignment consist of? I'll be talking about it in the next class. So with that, we come to an end of this session. According to my watch, it's about 1:58, and we are supposed to. It's about 1:59 now. We were supposed to switch off by something like around 2 o'clock, and that's about it for the day. Thank you very much, and I would like Atik and Osama to help me with the attendance. They have been doing it for all of you, and I'm really happy to have these two gentlemen who basically helping me out, providing me with all sort of assist so that I can conduct the class very smoothly. So that's about it for the day. Thank you very much, students. I think we will
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
signing off now.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
And
sir.
just a reminder, wishing you all a very, very happy festive season.